Law Briannas and Gentlegrams, now how did we go from this?
I forever owe Drake. Drizzy, man, he's good people, man. The only person that put on for me when I ain't have nobody was Drake. It was like, yo, that's raw talent, yo. Like, you gotta shine, yo. I'm a see to it.
To this.
Would you fight Drake?
You don't want to see me.
Why? Cause some gloves, like bare knuckle like the Irish. We ain't doing all that celebrity boxing.
It probably has something to do with this.
The fairy tale, like, oh, Drake started a family with Rihanna, and like, this is like so perfect. It looks so good on paper.
I wanted that too.
I wanted that too.
If you let Drake tell the story his way, he was sleeping with Rihanna while A$AP Rocky was sleeping with the mother of Drake's child, Adonis. And now that Rihanna's the mother of A$AP Rocky's children, she won't even support his music or post a single. 17 years after falling in love with Rihanna and losing her to Chris Brown initially, Drake is still treating this woman and their completely dead relationship like it's a high school rom-com, and he's the petty petition prom queen that got stood up at the dance. Meanwhile, Rihanna's still clowning him online, posting videos of herself dancing with Rocky, and people mad in the background, comparing those angry people to her quote-unquote jealous ex in the studio. And out of this entire love triangle, A$AP Rocky's got the most level-headed, logical reaction of them all. Yes, I know he just did an interview saying he'll fight Drake bare knuckles, but by the end of this video, you'll see why that sentiment is justified. And why I say he's the most logical one, it's because as he was rolling out his album early in the beginning of 2026, he did an interview with Drake's densest donut devourer, his greatest goblet glazer, DJ Big Mac's Akademiks.
Those 3 Big Macs are for me!
Where Rocky admitted that the reason why him and Drake were beefing was over a woman, plain and simple. And simultaneously for him, being, 3-4 kids deep with this woman, all of her romantic partners in the past are irrelevant to him. So why is he relevant to her previous romantic partners?
I think y'all beefing with women, honestly.
I think so too, but I'm not the first nigga that fuck my girl or my baby mother or my wife. Somebody predates that. Get off that sucker shit. What we talking about right now? Females? We sound like females talking about females. That's crazy. He been talking about throwing shots before the Kendrick shit and all that. But talking about my girl.
He also admits he was a fan of the Kendrick and Drake battle.
That nigga was going crazy, like, you know what I'm saying? He did his thing. I think it was good sportsmanship. And I feel like, Drake and Dot put on a good battle for the culture. What happened after that, that's kind of crazy, like all the suing and shit, but like, they showed good sportsmanship.
Now, you guys probably know the famous expression, there's always 3 sides to a story. Your truth, my truth, and then the real truth somewhere in the middle. And what's in the middle of this story is obviously a woman who both these 2 men have much admiration for. One of them currently has 3 children with her, and the other one has a nearly 3-decade-long obsession with her. So it made sense that when A$AP Rocky finally admitted to Akademiks that his long-standing issue with Drake is all because of Rihanna, Drake's team would later call Akademiks and give his side of the story, essentially stating that Drake and Rocky's issues did stem over Rihanna, but mainly because Rocky was insecure over La Brianna's relationship with Rihanna.
They said everything was cool with Drake and A$AP up until Rocky invites Drake to come to Yams Day, which he clearly did. You see him here, picture. Supposedly, who's also in the building is Rihanna. Drake was supposed to touch the stage. I don't know if it's not permitted to touch the stage or he's not given the opportunity to touch the stage. Now, I'm being honest with this. This is word from the mandem. They're saying Drake is like side stage while he's watching his Yams Day. He flew out there to perform. For whatever reason, I think him and his people believe it's because Rihanna's there and Rocky or whatever Rihanna, they don't have him perform. Rihanna's kind of there. And the idea and the thought, they're saying Rihanna acknowledges even to Drake. He says, yo, damn, you're supposed to perform. And Rihanna acknowledges saying, yo, oh, I get it. You're not going to perform because it's insecure, dude. This is what I'm hearing from the man. I'm gonna be honest, okay? I ain't made this up.
So what's the real root of this issue? Rocky's insecurities or Drake's obsession? Like I said before, it's gotta be somewhere in the middle, so let's pick the pieces together and understand where things went wrong, how deep this obsession truly goes, and why these two titans within hip-hop will never collaborate again.
If it ain't about the bread, it ain't concerning me. I'm like a journalist, I got a put down in Germany. They never heard of this, felt like a plane without the turbulence. You moving totalist, lit up a beat and try to murder it.
I study rap
Aholics
for a living.
As most of you guys probably know, Drake was the first one out of the two to meet Rihanna, while Rocky had probably not even recorded his first rap yet. Rihanna had just recorded the first single of her career, Ponder Replay, in 2005, and she was shooting the music video for it at a diner in Toronto, where a young Drake who was trying to make his way into the entertainment industry had been introduced to a young Rihanna by the owner of the diner as a kid who plays background music while people eat. This is 2005, so we haven't even gotten Drake's first mixtape yet, but he's already rubbing shoulders with up-and-coming superstars within the industry. It shows you how unconventional his come-up is and how well-connected he was pretty much right off the rip.
The first time I met Robin Fenty, it was 2005. She was shooting a music video at a restaurant called Avocado in Toronto. The song was Ponder Replay. I was introduced to her as a kid who played background music at the restaurant as people ate their dinner.
Spicy.
And the irony in all this is that I think throughout Drake and Rihanna's entire relationship back and forth, she always kind of treated him like the kid who just played background music. For the next few years, Rihanna quickly became one of the biggest pop stars in the industry while Drake was trying to make his way into that same industry, and after a slew of mixtapes, he finally inks a deal with Young Money in the spring of 2009. Around the same time, he's reported to have been spotted with Rihanna and a couple other friends at a bowling alley called Lucky Strikes Lanes and Lounge in New York, and witnesses claim to have seen her kissing him. Drake is 22 at the time, and that will play an important role in the story very shortly. Now, Drake definitely had a couple hits under his belt around this time, but given that this was still his first year in the mainstream and Rihanna had just had this massive, highly publicized, really dark breakup with Chris Brown, it was no wonder that the headline of Drake and Rihanna potentially being a couple was most definitely the biggest thing attached to Drake's career at the time. And because of that, every interview he did, people were asking him if the rumors were true. And he denied it every single time. That'll also play an important role in the story very shortly. Ultimately, his explanation was that she was a very good friend, they were collaborating, people were just looking for a headline, they were thirsty for gossip, and just creating fake narratives. So at this point, it's Drake himself telling the world that him and Rihanna are nothing but friends.
I have to ask, were you dating Rihanna?
No, I wasn't. I've never been dating Rihanna, but I know Rihanna.
And you guys hang out?
We have.
You know, running around allegedly dating young starlets and...
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
Right, yeah, that guy. There's Rihanna, you're dating, you and Rihanna are going to be engaged and she's pregnant with your child already.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
You guys are eloping after the concert. During the concert, you're going to leave the concert early to go to Vegas.
On stage, that's the way what I'm proposing. Nah, I mean, you know, she's great, man. She's great. She's a great person, and you know, I mean, everybody needs friends.
I gotta ask the questions just because they're coming out, man. What's up with you and Rihanna?
Nothing. Life is good, man.
So remember now, the last man that Rihanna had confirmed to be dating was Chris Brown. The irony is that Drake, obviously just signing to Lil Wayne's record label, he was out on tour with Lil Wayne, but he had suffered a knee injury and left the tour. And on the first day that Drake was absent from that tour, in Virginia Beach, Chris Brown makes his first public appearance at a live show since his incident with Rihanna. And ironically, it was to replace Drake at this Lil Wayne show.
Make some noise for my Chris Breezy in this. Also, make some noise for my Drake who fucking said fuck a few shows ago, but y'all keep him in his prayers. I said make some noise for my Drake, y'all.
Now, just under a year later, by the summer of 2010, Rihanna had done an interview where she said that she had a lot of Drake in her iPod at the time. She thought he was one of the illest lyricists in the game by that point in time.
What's in your iPod when you travel?
Right now, I'm listening to Drake.
Drake, Jay-Z, Kings of Leon, Kesha.
Are we gonna see you work with Drake?
I hope so, because he's really, really talented, and I think he's one of the illest lyricists out there.
This was right before Drake actually released his debut album, Thank Me Later. But once he did release the record, the intro on that album, Fireworks featuring Alicia Keys, seemed to have a couple references to his little romantic saga with Rihanna. He mentioned the time they spent at that bowling alley a year prior, Lucky Strike, where he rapped, "I could tell it wasn't love, I just thought you'd F with me. Who could have predicted Lucky Strike would have you stuck with me? Damn, I kept my wits about me. Luckily, what happened between us that night? It always seemed to trouble me. Now all of a sudden, these gossip rags want to cover me, and you making it seem like it happened that way because of me. But I was curious, and I'll never forget it, baby. What an experience. You could have been the one, but it wasn't that serious. There was smoke in the air before, that was me clearing it. That felt good. All in all, I learned a lesson from it though. You never see it coming, you just get to see it go." It's almost like he was implying that if he had it his way, this relationship would have lasted or would have become something serious, but he followed her lead and it kind of ended up nowhere. And it would become apparent that those were Drake's real emotions, because this was back in a time when he was still actually doing interviews, reflecting and speaking on the music he was creating. So in promotion of the album, his debut, he sat down with the New York Times and he actually discussed the lyrics that he had for Rihanna on that Fireworks record. On Fireworks, there's a verse about Rihanna, who asked him last year to write a song for her new album. The two soon began seeing each other regularly, though they never publicly confirmed their brief relationship. Drake said, "I was a pawn. The song he wrote for her never got released. You know what she was doing to me? She was doing exactly what I've done to so many women throughout my life, which is show them quality time, then disappear." I was like, wow, this feels terrible. And I'm not surprised why Drake stopped doing interviews, because I think he genuinely probably got PTSD from opening up so much, specifically about Rihanna and Kendrick Lamar early in his career. I mean, obviously, if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you know how many times we've reviewed the various interviews Drake did after the Control verse dropped and how butthurt he seemed live on radio.
Control, the record, people still banging it, man. Where is Drake at with Control?
I'm probably like as done as like the rest of the world is with that record. Like I think it came and it went.
Spicy.
But it was the same thing with Rihanna. It was almost like he couldn't control just like pouring his heart out to the public about how much he loved her and about how much she just didn't reciprocate the same type of emotion or motive that he had for their relationship. He did another interview with MTV later that year in 2010 where he opened up about the fact that he was just kind of overwhelmed by her beauty and her talent and how she did him like he's done a lot of girls in his past, and he wasn't used to that feeling where he was almost carried away by the feelings that he had towards her, the feelings that she didn't reciprocate back.
It's very rare that I feel small around anybody, especially, you know, a woman that I like. It's just, I am in a confident position right now. And really my whole purpose for putting that on the album was just to pay homage to the fact that she is an amazing woman that made me feel nervous, man. She made me feel small. She's an overwhelming being. Like, she's beautiful and talented, and her personality is like, it's almost like scary. And for the first time, a woman just brought back that feeling of when I was 17 or 18, and I appreciate it so much because you get into this position and sometimes you just get numb to all those emotions that used to inspire you to write.
Remember at this time, right, Rihanna had just left an abusive relationship with Chris Brown, and she was still on and off with him. There were a bunch of articles back in 2009 after the horrific incident occurred between them where they seemed to try and, repatch their relationship before it completely came to a halt in around 2010, and then it would respark later in like 2013, but that's a story for another video. But if there was any truth to all those, gossip tabloids saying that Drake and Rihanna were kissing at that bowling alley or whatever the case is, it was likely just the fact that Drake was this rebound, right? They were working on music together. Rihanna thought he was talented, and she was coming off this relationship that she started with Chris Brown when she was, 17? And it ended with such horrific abuse. I mean, that's an emotional weight that is not easy to just pack up and forget about. So for Drake to be in these interviews crying about how, she didn't want something serious with him when he rebounded with her in May of 2009, when she was still going back and forth with Chris Brown.
Embarrassing.
is kind of crazy that he felt like A, he was entitled to something a lot more serious than she was ready for, but B, that he felt comfortable talking to all these media companies about it. But if you wanted any real answer as to whether or not Drake and Rihanna were romantically involved in any capacity, you'd probably get your clearest clarification to that question when Rihanna dropped her song What's My Name with Drake in November of 2010. Now this was a massive moment for Drake because you know how he said on Push-Ups, your first number one I had to put it in your hand, and everyone thought, oh, that could be a diss to The Weeknd, to Future, to Rick Ross. Drake gave everyone these number one hits. Well, it was actually Rihanna who gave Drake his first number one with that particular record. And in the music video, they're definitely getting up close and personal.
I heard you good with them soft lips.
Now, the rest of the timeline for about like the next year and a half is kind of weird because Drake continues going in these interviews crying about Rihanna like she did him dirty, like he was trying to save someone who didn't even want him in the first place. Like this interview with Elle where he says, at the time it hurt, but she didn't mean to. I'll never put that on her. I was hurt because I started to slowly realize what it was. I guess I thought it was more. That was the first girl with any fame that paid me any mind. And what's funny is when Drake is talking all this lovey-dovey stuff, even shooting music videos where, you know, he's pretty up close with her, Rihanna does an interview where she pretty much brushes Drake off, and the interviewer actually mentions that Rihanna has a new boyfriend of her own. So keep in mind, this whole time Drake's talking about he's madly in love with her, and, you know, maybe she wasn't ready to move on from Chris Brown, but the interviewer here is saying that she had a whole new boyfriend, aside from Chris Brown, aside from Drake. So he was just getting played by all angles. I mean, listen to this interview, guys. When she's asked if she once dated Drake, she said, we weren't really sure what it was. We just went out, my friends, his friends. I definitely was attracted to Drake, but I think it just is what it is. Like, it was what it was. We didn't want to take it any further. It was a really fragile time in my life, so I just didn't want to get too serious with anything or anyone at that time. We remained friends, and we had fun shooting this music video and working together on this song. Drake is awesome. But as she's saying all this about Drake, the most hilarious part, in my opinion, is the interviewer continues saying, Riri's current boyfriend doesn't have a problem with Drake's steamy music video with her. At least that's what he told her. Rihanna said, he never said it out loud, but I don't know what he's thinking. She laughs. He watched it the other day and he was like, I love that video. It's a great video, babe. I don't know how true that really was, but he seemed to like it.
Spicy.
Nevertheless, in the next year, 2011, Drake and Rihanna would be reported to have gone on multiple dates together, some even close to my hometown, at Buena Notte restaurant in Montreal, downtown. That restaurant shut down and kind of sucked, but, you know, Drake saying he's madly in love with her, Rihanna saying they're just friends, and they collaborate again in 2011, this time on Drake's album on the song Take Care. Now, this is probably my favorite collaboration between the two. Drake is hugging her in the music video like he's a concerned bestie, comforting her after her last breakup with whoever the other boyfriend was in the interview from 2010. And at the same time, while Drake and Rihanna's friendship at this point, maybe relationship, who knows, it seemed to be going strong, what was going even stronger was the rise of hip-hop's next power movement, the ASAP mob.
I'm Texas Trail, but ending wild, spit it slow.
ASAP Rocky is absolutely blowing up off the strength of his debut mixtape, Live Love ASAP. He becomes the frontrunner of the ASAP mob movement. His sound takes over New York hip-hop, and it catches the eye of both Drake and Rihanna. Drake is on another level of superstardom at this point, and with the success of his sophomore album, Take Care, he goes on his biggest tour to date, Club Paradise, and while his record label had requested he take a bunch of R&B acts on the road as the openers for the show, he instead pushed for a more hip-hop oriented performance, bringing on the hottest rappers in the game at the time, everyone from Waka Flocka Flame, J. Cole, Meek Mill, French Montana. But really what everyone remembers that tour for were the moments shared between Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and ASAP Rocky. Yes, the irony, I know.
Rap is an ever-changing cycle, and that the change within is inevitable. So you may have had like a favorite rapper for the last 10, 15 years, and they may only have 1 or 2 albums left, and that's okay. That's just how this shit goes. But I promise you, each and every one of you are responsible for the 4 individuals on this stage, and we will rep for y'all to the day they lay us flat on our motherfucking back, nigga. What's up? Like I said, this is my brother ASAP Rocky. This is my brother Kendrick Lamar. This is my brother Chasing Cash. We all ask you just one favor. Y'all keep working on being the beautiful people that you are, and we're gonna keep giving you this music that you love so much.
I'm trying to earn the right to call myself ASAP Drizzy one day. It's like trying to earn the right, man. Nah, for real, it's just it's rare that you meet people, man, like with talent and then like just a mindset and then just like an immediate loyalty to go with that talent, you know. So when I met ASAP, like I've said in the interviews, you know, to whoever asked me, you know, I'll say the same thing, man. Like this guy right here, just right off the bat, did one of the kindest things anybody's ever done. Like came to check me, brought me a bottle of Chris. You know, it's people I can put on here that the label wants me to put on here, but I fight for this one reason, man. Like I fight to promote what I love. You know what I'm saying? I fight to promote the music that I truly love. So when I get in the car, one of the rare moments that I get in the car, drive, you know, this is what I'm listening to. I'm honored this man accepted. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm honored to be here, man. ASAP, for real.
As you can see, Drake and A$AP Rocky were very fond of one another. Drake even wanted to become an honorary member of the A$AP mob. And Rocky spoke highly of Drake, saying that Drake was one of the first people to reach out to him when he was just gaining a small buzz within Harlem, and that Drake was one of the first major artists to give Rocky a massive mainstream platform.
I forever owe Drake. First conversation, he's saying he's gonna take me on tour, and I'm like, wow, man, he's, you know, I don't know, man, whatever. When I met him, everything, like before the tour, he came to come see me. He brought me out to Fashion Week, and this is when I was a nobody. Drizzy, man, he's good people, man. The only person that put on for me when I ain't have nobody was Drake. I'm talking about Drake was the first person to put on, like, before anybody. He didn't want to sign me. Yeah. He didn't want to. It was like, yo, that's raw talent, yo. Like, you got to shine, yo. I'm going to see to it.
Now, what's kind of weird about the next 12 months is the varying different love triangles that were going on at the time. See, Chris Brown, Rihanna's first love, had moved on with his new girlfriend, Karrueche, but all of a sudden you started seeing pictures of Chris and Rihanna hanging out together again. But she had also been on and off kind of hanging out with Drake as well. So it was like, was Chris with Rihanna, was he with Karrueche, or was Rihanna with Drake? Who knew? The lines would only get blurred further later in that summer when Drake released a song with 2 Chainz called No Lie, where he was most definitely taking some shots at Rihanna. And this was a far cry from the, you know, sensitive shots that he was taking on Fireworks, where he was professing his love to her. At this point, he was trying to make it seem like Rihanna was a nobody to him. He rapped, "Oh, that looked like what's her name? Chances are it is what's her name. Chances are if she was acting up, I effed her once and never effed again. She could have a Grammy, I still treat her like a nominee. Just need to know what that kitty like, so one time is fine with me." Obviously, this was a diss aimed at Rihanna for various reasons. Again, they had a collaboration together called What's My Name. He starts off this little reprise saying, "Oh, that looks like what's her name." And then he says, "I effed her once, then never effed again." Kind of goes on with the narrative he was framing at the beginning of 2010 when he was talking about, you know, they had a little romantic interest, but she didn't want to pursue things further. And then he even goes on to say she could even have a Grammy, but she's nothing in Drake's eyes. And of course, we know Rihanna had various Grammys by this point in time. But why I say the lines got blurred by this point is because, yeah, he released this song where it seems like, you know, the feelings were not so friendly between Drake and Rihanna, but a month later, he's in the club in July of 2012. Chris Brown is in that same club. Chris Brown ends up setting a bottle over to Drake's table. Drake sends a bottle back with a message that says, "I'm sleeping with the love of your life." The two then proceeded to have an all-out fight within the club, throwing bottles at each other, which left Chris with a bunch of scratches all over his face from those bottles being thrown at him. And the irony is that he was actually in the nightclub with Karrueche, his other girlfriend at the time.
That's Chris Brown showing off a nasty gash he got in a fight in New York last night. Now, who do we have to thank for this?
Huge fan, man, Drake.
It was Drake?
Actually, we're being told it was Drake's friend, Meek Mill.
Huh? Well, good work, Meek Mill.
Spicy.
Now, while both Drake and Chris Brown were fighting over Rihanna's love in the summer of 2012, another man would step into this love, I want to call it love triangle, but really it's a love hexagon at this point, A$AP Rocky, and he would collaborate with Rihanna for the first time on the remix to her 2011 song, Cockiness. They would perform this song at the 2012 VMAs in September, and they'd get a little touchy-feely to say the least on stage. A month later, Rihanna would release her next album, Unapologetic, where she'd feature Chris Brown on the song Nobody's Business, where they would essentially sing about having love for each other and not letting the world judge their complicated relationship. And at this point in time, it seems like Drake is pretty much out of the picture, but he does end up doing a couple more interviews in true Drake fashion, professing his love to Rihanna. I believe this is the first time we saw the UK accent Drake emerge, where he says he fancies her, and he hopes that one day, maybe it works with her, but maybe it won't. Who knows?
I love her and support her unconditionally, and I like to think that she feels the same way. And
still fancy her though?
Do I fancy her? Of course. I mean, who wouldn't? Look at her. She's stunning. Of course I do. Yeah, no, she's incredible. But it's one of those things that it's a maybe one day, maybe.
Now, even though Drake was fighting Chris Brown in the club over Rihanna, A$AP Rocky, getting a little friendly with her on stage didn't seem to bother Drake because they still went on to collaborate a couple times. Drake and A$AP Rocky released their first and final, I believe, track together called Effin' Problems, with ironically Kendrick Lamar as well. This was really A$AP Rocky's breakout massive top 10 mainstream hit, his first one. And it led him to release his debut album, Long Live A$AP, where he also featured the song Fashion Killer, which had a music video co-starring none other than Rihanna, who was playing A$AP's love interest. Simultaneously, Drake is still hung up on his beef with Chris Brown over Rihanna, doing an interview with Elliot Wilson where he talks about the fact that Chris's love of his life ended up in Drake's lap. He treated her with respect, and that's why she's not quote-unquote talking down on his name.
Chris Brown's running around doing press and your name comes up.
For the media and for any media outlet that listens to this interview, don't ask me shit about that man when I come up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And leave that man alone, Stop preying on his insecurities, man. Cause, his insecurities are the fact that I make better music than him, that I'm more popping than him, and that at one point in life, the woman that he loves fell into my lap. I did what a real nigga would do and treated her with respect. So she's not up there talking down on me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And all those things combined, create an individual that comes up to your radio station and is just gonna, do dumb shit. We have an issue and it's either gonna drag out or maybe in 10 years we'll laugh about it over drinks, but just let us solve that shit, because it's not me and Kendrick, it's not me and Hov.
It's not you and Common. It's not even you and Common.
Yeah, you're not gonna get anything out of it. No, I don't want to hear that man rap. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to hear me rap against him. I really do this shit. That's not. You're not even gonna get anything out of it.
Now, we wouldn't see Drake and Rihanna together too much around this time, but this is probably when she started getting slightly closer with A$AP Rocky, because he was actually one of the openers on her Diamonds World Tour from March 2013 to November 2013. The next year, Drake would do an interview with Rolling Stone, and he wasn't too happy about this interview because he ends up allegedly talking crap about Fabulous for his quote-unquote corny bars. He talks crap about Jay-Z rapping too much about unrelatable things like expensive art. That would later trickle into a little subliminal back and forth between Jay and Drake, where Jay-Z would call Drake Mrs. Drizzy and say, sorry, Mrs. Drizzy, for so much art talk. Silly me rapping about stuff that I really bought. That interview would also see Drake being allegedly very critical of Kanye's latest effort, Yeezus, at the time. And while he was kind of talking crap about his rapper friends, he did have some high praise for Rihanna, saying, she's the ultimate fantasy. I mean, I think about it man, that would be good. We have fun together. She's cool and stuff, but we're just friends. That's my dog for life. Drake was not happy with anything said in that Rolling Stones interview, and to make things worse, Philip Seymour Hoffman had passed away around that time, so instead of giving Drake the cover, which is really why he did the interview in the first place, they ended up replacing Drake's cover with Philip Seymour Hoffman, but still running that interview. Drake got on Twitter later and said that a lot of the quotes in the interview were taken out of context, weren't actually things he said, and in a series of tweets, he basically said, I never commented on Kanye's Yeezus album for my interview portion of Rolling Stone. They also took the cover from me last minute and ran the issue. I'm disgusted with that. The press is evil. I'm done doing interviews for magazines. I just want to give my music to the people. That's the only way my message gets across accurately. And if you notice, this is February 2014. We rarely ever saw Drake sit down for a real formal interview ever again by this point in his career. But a month after these angry tweets came out, what also came out in the tabloids was Drake being spotted with Rihanna on some sort of night out at Tramp nightclub, March 27th, 2014. Now, you might think Drake and Rihanna at this point are back together. Chris Brown's out of the picture, A$AP's out of the picture, but just a year later, Rihanna would do an interview with Vanity Fair 2015, and she would say that her last real boyfriend was Chris Brown. completely dissolving any idea of her and Drake having a relationship. When it comes to made-up stories, Rihanna knows whereof she speaks. Despite all those rumors of sexual liaisons, Rihanna says her last real official boyfriend was Chris Brown, when they briefly got back together 3 years after his arrest for assaulting her in 2009. Despite this, though, it's obvious that her and Drake had been friends, right? They had been out several times in 2014. Funny enough, with Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad even saying that Drake had got Rihanna so obsessed with the show Breaking Bad that when she met Aaron Paul, she actually jumped out of the car to meet him. And this is where Drake's nickname for Rihanna, Fring, had actually been conceived. Fring is a character in Breaking Bad, and I guess Drake had got her obsessed with the show. And while she might have been obsessed with Breaking Bad, Drake was definitely obsessed with his breaking relationship with Rihanna, because the next year in 2015, he would actually open up a restaurant in Toronto and name it Fring. I mean, to me, this is when the, weird obsession kind of started kicking in. I get it, you guys are friends and all, but she's out here in interviews saying you're not her boyfriend, but you're naming restaurants after her. It screams like a desperate attempt at trying to hold on to an idea of a relationship that doesn't even really exist at this point.
Embarrassing!
Now, guys, here's where it gets interesting, all right? Because if you want a masterclass at how to do PR properly, how to speak on your private relationships in public forums, take no better note than what A$AP Rocky had to say about his relationship with Rihanna in 2015. Remember, Rocky in 2015 is 2-3 years into his big mainstream career. This is the equivalent to Drake in 2012. Remember what we reviewed about Drake in interviews talking about Rihanna in 2012. How much he was professing his love to her in these public interviews when she definitely wasn't reciprocating it, right? And that's okay, it definitely happens, but there's a time and place to be discussing that. I don't think a public interview is the right place to be, Marvin's rooming your way through your relationships. And I think A$AP Rocky would definitely agree, because in 2015, he's asked, why him and Rihanna never took things to the next level, even though there was some chemistry, some flirtatiousness going on in the Fashion Killer music video, in their VMA performance, etc. And Rocky ultimately brushed it off to say Rihanna's his friend. Rihanna's someone who he had a lot of love for. But as for why things never worked out between them, it's just because it didn't happen that way. And I mean, he did also say that he had a 9-woman slumber party, let's just call it that, in one night. So at this point in time, maybe Rocky's just not ready for a serious relationship, right? But the way he spoke on Rihanna here would kind of foreshadow a lot.
The Rihanna lyrics.
What Rihanna lyrics?
Apparently, that's what the lyrics people think you're talking about when you're talking about pretty big forehead.
She not the only pretty big forehead bitch in the world.
That is true.
She could tell you that I love, because that's my homie, and
Yeah.
I love girls with big foreheads and gaps in their mouths.
But why not Rihanna? You guys make a cute couple. You just not ready for love. I could just see it in your eyes. You're too young, Rocky. You out here, man. You guys are, look, I would say you guys make a cute couple. No?
A lot of people would say that. I agree.
Yeah.
I make a
But
cute couple
why
with a lot of
not
pretty
cross
girls.
over more than just a homie? Why not just say, you know what, let's just do it?
Because that never happened.
Yeah.
If it happened,
it'll happen.
Then it would have happened. We didn't do that.
You never know, man.
I mean, nah, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, to be honest with you, man, that's not what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the friendship that I already have with all these females. And
yeah.
And in an interview in 2026, he would finally admit that throughout all these years when Rihanna was just his friend, his mom was the one encouraging him to pursue her romantically and try and bring their relationship to another level. Rocky says that at the time he was aware Rihanna was kind of doing her own thing, so he was never really pursuing it that seriously, but he thanks his mother for having that instinct and acknowledging that a mother's intuition is always the strongest.
Was always my boo, you know what I'm saying? I always fucked with her. My mother used to say shit like, I know you like this girl that you with right now. I ain't gonna say no names, but I want you with Riri. It's like, Mom, why you keep saying that?
Mom,
That girl
mind your
don't-
business.
Yeah, that girl don't even want me like that. Like we cool, Mom. That's just my friend. Chill. I'm telling you, she real. And mothers know best.
So throughout the rest of this year in 2015, Drake and Rihanna are seen together on multiple occasions at clubs, at dinners, whatever the case is. He seems madly in love with her in interviews. They seem to be, pretty intimate, pretty flirty in pictures, but at the same time, she's saying there's nothing going on between them and they're just friends in interviews. And all this is probably spiraling in Drake's head, right? I mean, he's naming restaurants after her for crying out loud. And we know around this time, he's also dating Serena Williams because she's the one, at least according to Drake, that kind of planted the thought in his head that throughout his beef with Meek Mill in that summer of 2015, Drake needed to go all the way and drop a track that would be inescapable for Meek Mill, which is exactly what he did with Back to Back.
I study rap battles for a living.
The irony is that about a year later in 2016, Drake and Rihanna would collaborate on the track Too Good, and Drake himself would release footage of him playing the song for his mom in the studio and discussing who it's about, which was Serena Williams. The irony is that, he's on this song with Rihanna, but he's talking about, his relationship with Serena Williams, which at the time had ended, and according to Drake's own mother, Serena had already started seeing someone else. And this is where it kind of gets creepy, right? Why are you talking about your relationship with a woman who's already moved on and is in another relationship? He says at the very least he wanted to make the song kind of lighthearted. That way, if Serena knew he was talking about her, at least she could appreciate that the song kind of sounded good and he wasn't going too deep into the details of their relationship. And if you actually listen to that song, I mean, you could kind of replace Serena for Rihanna in terms of the feelings that Drake had in that relationship. I'm too good for you. You take my love for granted. I don't understand it. It seems like every time Drake gets into a relationship with a high profile individual, he kind of ends up expecting a lot more than what actually comes of the relationship, and then gets his heart broken and has to cry about it in a song or an interview.
No, I get heavy on a couple jokes, but this is more about me and Serena, so I
gathered. I gathered that.
But I wanted to make a song. When I make songs about women, I also make songs for them. So I know what kind of song to make. If I'm going to talk about them, I'll at least do them the justice of making them a song that they like.
Yeah.
Okay? So I know Serena very well, and I know that she'll hear it loud and clear, but she'll also not hate me for it because it's lighthearted.
Mm-hmm. And she has seen someone else.
I don't know, Mom.
After releasing this Views album, Drake would also release 4 p.m. in Calabasas, where he would reflect on taking A$AP Rocky and Kendrick Lamar out on the road with him on that Club Paradise tour when his label was encouraging him to instead take some R&B acts, chalking it up to trying to make the right decisions while the world's watching, still showing Kendrick and Rocky some love. He also showed Rihanna a lot of love because they teamed up for another #1 hit with the 2016 song Work. Now, this was a song written in the OVO sweatshop by PARTYNEXTDOOR, gifted to Rihanna. The same thing with Wild Thoughts the year after, written by PARTYNEXTDOOR, given to Rihanna, and Drake had a verse on that Work song. And of course, in the music video, they're dancing, they're a little flirty, but again, it's really only Drake who, in the public eye, tries to make it seem like that flirtatiousness was anything more than just, two friends sometimes being a little more than friends. I mean, she's not claiming him publicly in any interview. For the 10, 15 years that they were, romantically linked in the media, she never claimed him. It was always Drake. On the song Hype off his 2016 album Views, he rapped, "Don't you see Riri right next to me?" On the week that album released, Drake made an appearance at SNL and did a little impression of Rihanna.
I'm so excited to be here tonight, oh my god! See Drake and me. I swear we only friends, alright?
Later that summer, she would make an appearance at Drake's OVO Fest, and Drake would make another wild statement insinuating that the relationship was a lot more than just friendship, saying that she showed out for 2 nights of OVO Fest, so they might have to go half on a baby.
We might have to go half on a baby.
Spicy.
So as you can see, all these times, it's really just Drake that's trying to paint the picture that something serious is going on. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely tough. We've probably all been there when, you're kind of tiptoeing the border of the friend zone. Maybe you like the other person a lot more than they like you, or they just see you as something different at that time. And sometimes it can feel like there's a spark there, but in reality, that person is probably just using you as a distraction, or maybe just values your friendship. It's tough, but it's how you handle those situations that shows the type of character you are. And Drake would not stop trying to prove to the world that him and Rihanna were something more than just friends with some chemistry. I think no better physical representation of this was displayed than in that same year of 2016 when Drake presented Rihanna with the Michael Jackson Vanguard Award at the MTV VMAs. Now, this is a massive reward, right? So for him to make the entire speech about how in love he was with Rihanna and then tries to go in for the kiss at the end, and she just dabs when he says this is someone he's been in love with for the past 6 years since he was 22, it's sad. And remember, like I said earlier in this video, he was 22 in 2009 when they first went to that bowling alley, when she was still on and off kind of with Chris Brown, just getting over that relationship. And for those 6 years, it seems like Drake never fully got the message that Rihanna was probably never on the same type of timing that Drake was on.
But most of all, we love the woman who hasn't changed since day one. She's someone I've been in love with since I was 22 years old. She's one of my best friends in the world. All my adult life, I've looked up to her even though she's younger than me.
I hope we didn't get copyrighted there, because, I mean, guys, look at the way she dodges that kiss, right? That just screams like, Drake, please don't do this in this type of setting, right? And especially, again, considering the award that she is getting. And he makes the whole speech about himself and his relationship with her. It's crazy, to me at least. Not to mention, he also put billboards all around the city congratulating Rihanna for this award on behalf of Drake and everyone at OVO. And about 2 years after this, Rihanna had actually done an interview with Vogue where she said that Drake's speech at that award show was actually probably the most uncomfortable part of receiving the award. Keep in mind, this is a speech where he's talking about being in love with her since he was 22 years old. She said, waiting through that speech was probably the most uncomfortable part. I don't like too many compliments. I don't like to be put on blast. He even spoke on her relationship with Drake in this interview, saying, we don't have a friendship now, but we're not enemies either. It is what it is.
Embarrassing.
But even with this, Drake would still continue showing love to Rihanna, maybe a little too much, maybe at unnecessary times, right? I mean, don't forget, throughout this time, she's dating multiple other people. I'm sure Drake is as well. But it seems he's the only one stuck on this fantasy that maybe they'll end up together happily ever after at some point, right? He shouts her out in a performance in August of 2018, even putting visuals of them hugging on stage at one of his concerts.
All who have love for Rihanna.
Of course, we know in that summer it would be revealed that Drake actually had a baby with Sophia Brousseau. Pusha T would, destroy him with the story of Adin, exposing that whole thing, and Drake would do an interview with Lebron where he reflected on, the unpredicted circumstance of him having a child with this woman who he wasn't married to, he wasn't madly in love with, and he would use the example of Rihanna, admitting that at some point in his life he had wished that maybe him and Rihanna ended up married happily ever after with a family of their own. And it's just funny because, again, she's in interviews earlier that year talking about they don't have a friendship, they're not friends. He's here talking about, he used to wish that they would end up happily ever after together.
The fairy tale, like, oh, Drake started a family with Rihanna, like, this is like so perfect. It looks so good on paper. I wanted that too. I wanted that too.
Now, around this time, Drake and A$AP Rocky, they're still on good terms, but Rocky and Rihanna are actually on even better terms. They reconnected publicly for the first time at a Louis Vuitton show in June of 2018, and Rihanna also invited A$AP Rocky to her Diamond Ball in September 2018, around the time when she said her and Drake no longer had a friendship. And going forward, Rihanna's comments about Drake started to become a lot more hostile, I guess you could say. In 2019, she did an interview where she's asked if her next album would have any Drake features, and she responded by saying, not on this album, that's for sure, not anytime soon. I don't see it happening. Meanwhile, at this time period, her and A$AP Rocky are making a lot more public appearances together, but that didn't actually stop Drake from still being on good terms with Rocky. He actually made a surprise appearance at one of Rocky's shows in LA in 2019.
Stop test. Special guest, please reveal yourself. Okay, let's continue with this test.
And for a short period of time, it seemed like Drake had kind of moved on of the idea that him and Rihanna would have that fairy tale happy ending together. He even ended up reconnecting with Chris Brown for, in my opinion, one of the best Drake collaborations we've ever gotten with the song No Guidance. Maybe that's my Chris Brown bias, I don't know, but they did that song, it became a smash, and they even ended up doing a music video together where the whole premise of it was kind of insinuating that, you know, their rivalry was just, you know, a battle of egos, essentially. What did that ego stem from? Well, you guys probably know, right? And later that year, Drake would even do an interview talking about the collaboration, saying that for a while, they couldn't really get in the right place to lock in on a track together because both of them were tied romantically to Rihanna, even though Rihanna never publicly claimed Drake. But he did say at the end, they have both moved on. She is no longer in either of their lives, so now felt like the right time to finally connect on the music side of things between Drake and Chris Brown.
When you kind of step away from it and break it down, you start to feel silly because it's like over like girl stuff, you know? But obviously that can snowball into like real shit, and that's what happened in this situation.
Real shit that ruined the New York club life.
It did.
You shut down New York club life, man, forever.
I have no recollection. I think we were just both grew up to the point that like that person that was kind of, you know, in the middle of us is like no longer a part of like either of our like lives currently, and I have the utmost love and respect for her. I think of her as family more than anything.
And while by this point it does seem like Drake is kind of taking, you know, a mature step in the right direction, being respectful towards Rihanna in terms of acknowledging, you know, that era of them two together is over, even though he has a lot of love for her. Nah, this is really when the pettiness would get taken up to another level. This is when Drake would become the villain. And it all stems from Rihanna basically publicly showing that she wanted nothing to do with him. See, back in around 2016, maybe 2017, Drake and Rihanna reportedly went on a date to an aquarium where Drake bought Rihanna this camouflage shark plush toy. You can see it in these pictures. Now, allegedly, Drake and Rihanna ended up getting matching shark tattoos, which resembled that toy that Drake allegedly got her on that date. But here's the thing. By 2019, 2020, Rihanna gets that tattoo covered. She's indicating here, like, the era of Drake being anything in her life is over at this point, right? Nah, but this is when Drake turns the obsession up another level and comes in with some really weird subliminal energy aimed at Rihanna, which will kind of get clarified by the end of this video when we see both A$AP Rocky explain to Akademiks how this issue between him and Drake even started, and then Drake's team explaining to Akademiks their side of this story. For now, just remember that in January of 2020, both Rihanna and Drake separately attend Yams Day on behalf of A$AP Rocky, and Drake even gifts A$AP Rocky a Yams chain. By March of 2020, the entire world shuts down with the COVID-19 pandemic, and Drake spends a lot of nights in lockdown on Instagram Live, playing new music, talking to fans, etc. On one live, Drake previews a track that is seemingly discussing his relationship with Rihanna, referencing a love interest who makes more money than he does, and he finds that attractive, and him talking about her hanging with her friends, Jen and Melissa, who are the names of Rihanna's friends.
Say hi, Em.
Cause she get more paper than I do. That shit attractive. Things that make me miss you. With Jen and Melissa.
He drops another track in 2020 referencing a woman who had been missing since 2016. And again, this is the last time when Drake and Rihanna are really seen on any romantic level attached to each other in the public eye. And around the time of this song's release, Popcan, one of Drake's artists, actually commented on one of Drake's IG pictures saying, "Waiting on Fring." Remember, Fring is Rihanna's nickname that Drake gave her, and in the song he's talking about a woman who had been missing since 2016. Is he waiting on Fring? That's what Popcan thinks. Now, alright, around this time again, Drake is heavy on IG Live, and Rihanna is actually heavy in the chats of these lives. And they're kind of messing with each other back and forth here. But you can see Drake's a little thirsty, but at the same time, I mean, at this point, they do seem like they're still on decent terms. They're friends, they're rekindling, whatever the case is. Drake says, "Rihanna, drop your album right now." And it's funny, she still hasn't dropped that album. Rihanna says, "Give Drake some water." Like, this man is thirsty, you know? Drake says, "Ha ha ha, yo, you have a bad attitude, bad girl, Riri." She says, "Champs, come get your boys." Drake is here giving some lore on the Pond to Replay music video shoot. Remember, again, that's the first time he ever met Rihanna. She's teasing him, talking about he was cheating in whatever game he was playing on IG Live. And he makes a comment that, I mean, this is just the pinnacle of thirst. He says, "If I do one more shot, I'm changing my @ name to Bad Boy Dredre."
Spicy.
Now here's where things start to get strange, alright? In that summer, July 2020, by the way, all these like Instagram back and forths, this was like in May of 2020, so about 2 months later, Drake actually goes to Rihanna's old house in Barbados. He's spotted there by himself with some friends. Huh? Allegedly, at this exact same time, Rihanna and A$AP Rocky are actually taking a road trip together from LA to New York, and they were spotted in Texas on the way there. So Drake's at Rihanna's childhood home while Rihanna is out on a road trip with A$AP Rocky. Now around this time period, A$AP Rocky and Drake are still friends, but we'll find out in 2026 that based on Drake's side of the story, this is the time when the issues started to emerge. After doing the interview with A$AP Rocky, DJ Big Macus and Akademiks would say that he heard from Drake's team that back in 2020, when A$AP Rocky invited both Drake and Rihanna to Yams Day, Drake was initially supposed to perform, but because Rocky knew about Drake and Rihanna's past relationship, he felt insecure about Drake performing and stealing the momentum that Rocky had on his big night, possibly outshining Rocky in front of Rihanna while she's in the crowd. Drake's team also told Akademiks that Drake himself was next to Rihanna in the crowd. She asked Drake why he wasn't performing, and then said it's probably because A$AP Rocky was insecure.
They said everything was cool with Drake and A$AP up until Rocky invites Drake to come to Yams Day, which he clearly did. You see him here, picture. Supposedly, who's also in the building is Rihanna. Drake was supposed to touch the stage. I don't know if it's not permitted to touch the stage or he's not given the opportunity to touch the stage. Now, I'm being honest with this. This is word from the mandem. They're saying Drake is like side stage while he's watching his Yams Day. He flew out there to perform. For whatever reason, I think him and his people believe it's because Rihanna's there and Rocky or whatever Rihanna, they don't have him perform. Rihanna's kind of there. And the idea and the thought, they're saying Rihanna acknowledges even to Drake. He says, yo, damn, you're supposed to perform. And Rihanna acknowledges saying, yo, I get it. You're not going to perform because it's insecure dude. This is what I'm hearing from the mandem. I'm going to be honest, okay? I ain't made this up.
Okay, so allegedly A$AP Rocky is insecure about Drake outshining him on that stage during Yams Day when Rihanna's watching, so he doesn't have Drake perform. Drake is there like, what am I even doing at this event? And that's how this whole back and forth started, according to Drake. Now, why this kind of doesn't make sense is because the year after, in 2021, they were actually all seen partying together. Drake had hosted events at Delilah nightclub in LA. You probably remember that name because on Family Matters, he was talking about going to Delilah with all of his ice. No one was going to rob him. Delilah's a club in LA, and of course, that's Kendrick's hometown. But as you can see here, in April of 2021, Drake hosts an event at Delilah nightclub. He's there, but so is Rihanna, but she's there with A$AP Rocky. 2 months later, Drake's team hosts another event at Delilah nightclub. Rihanna is there, but Drake wasn't actually there. He was in the studio that night with Metro Boomin, as you could see here, on the date June 7th, 2021. But why I say Drake's whole story of, Rocky getting jealous at Yams Day and that's how these issues started doesn't really make sense is because that was in 2020, right? That Yams Day, that was January 2020. By April of 2021, Drake is at the same party as A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, and there's no issue. They're all partying together. So how could the issue have started in 2020 when you're still partying with A$AP and Rihanna by 2021? Now, 2021 is the year that Rihanna and A$AP Rocky would officially, publicly announce their relationship, and this is when the subliminals from Drake would get more and more deranged. First, it starts on the song Effing Fans, which was on Drake's 2021 album Certified Lover Boy. He raps, "Hard for me to justify the women I was into, especially when the whole entire world wished they had you." I mean, who else could that be aside from Rihanna? One of the most desirable women in the industry. Then he reflects on the fact that he had a kid when he didn't plan to, and he suspects that Rihanna was probably shocked when she heard the news. But this is where it gets interesting. You have lines like, "I know you're not happy, girl, everybody know. Could see it in your boyfriend's eyes at the show." Don't tell me let it go, I'm a letting go pro. Remember that Drake's recap of the events and how he and A$AP Rocky started beefing is because he went to Yams Day. He was supposed to perform. A$AP Rocky didn't invite him up on stage, and Rihanna had told Drake that it's because he was insecure. Here in this song, a year later, Drake is talking about how she's not happy with her new boyfriend, and you could see it in her boyfriend's eyes at the show. The insecurity at that Yams Day show is likely what Drake's referring to, and he ends the verse off by saying, "We're both getting rich, but the trust getting broke. Cover up a lot, can't cover up your soul." Obviously, Drake and Rihanna, both rich individuals, but remember earlier in this video I told you it was around this time when she starts getting a little more serious with A$AP Rocky that she officially covers up her matching tattoo with Drake. And here he is rapping, "Cover up a lot, can't cover up your soul." Now, years later, Drake would drop a bunch of random footage throughout all different periods of his career, and in one video, it's footage of Drake recording and listening back to this very same song in a studio in Barbados, Rihanna's hometown. You remember when he was there, right? In July of 2020, when he visited her actual childhood home when she was allegedly on a vacation with A$AP Rocky. That was just months after that A$AP Yams concert, and here Drake is recording a song in Rihanna's hometown discussing the fact that she's not happy with A$AP Rocky, and he could see it in Rocky's eyes at the show, the boyfriend's eyes at the show. By 2022, A$AP Rocky and Rihanna announced that they're officially expecting their first child together, and this is a clip of Drake allegedly on the day that they announced that they're expecting their first child.
It's Drake on his phone for just an instant.
Man, that is the absolute look of despair if I've ever seen it. And remember how I said this is when Drake goes into this deranged villain arc? Well, he's taking shots not just at Rihanna, but at multiple women, some that he was romantically involved with, and others for whatever reason, I don't know what. On his 2022 album, Her Loss, he takes shots at Megan Thee Stallion, claiming that she lied about getting shot in the foot by Tory Lanez. He rapped, "This girl lied about getting shots, but she's still a stallion." On that same album, he took a shot at Ice Spice, saying, "She's a 10 trying to rap, it's good on mute." And he also took a shot at Serena Williams' husband, saying, "Serena, your husband's a goofy." And by the time his next album rolled around, For All the Dogs, it was now Rocky and Rihanna's turn to feel Drake's wrath. On the song Another Late Night, he took a shot at A$AP Rocky, rapping, "I ain't Pretty Flocko, this stuff gets really rocky." Pretty Flocko obviously being the nickname of A$AP Rocky. And then what was really disgusting is on the track Fear of Heights, he makes the entire first verse of that song basically dedicated to both A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, who are now, 2 kids deep, living a happy life together. Drake decides to rap the following lines. "Why they make it seem like I'm still hung up on you? That could never be. Y'all can't run me, better him than me. Better it's not me, I'm anti. Remember, the name of Rihanna's last album at this point was Anti, and obviously her Instagram handle was Bad Gal Riri. And Drake isn't saying, girl can't run me, he's saying, gal can't run me. But this is where it gets gross. He talks about, the sex life of whoever this is, and 99% chance it's Rihanna, saying, "Yeah, the sex was average with you, I'm anti, because I had it with you. Yeah, I'm anti like your daddy's sister, anti like a family picture, and I had way badder bees than you, TBH." We know this is a shot at Rihanna because she also has a song on that Anti album called Sex With Me, where she says, "Sex with me so amazing." Here on this song, Drake is saying the sex was average with you. And he's saying that A$AP Rocky can't leave the relationship and Rihanna wears the pants in it. That man, he's still with you, he can't leave you. Y'all go on vacation, I bet it's antis. He releases merch for this album and takes another shot at A$AP Rocky as well, pretty much just copying his merch. A year after this, Drake would go on tour for that For All the Dogs album, and whenever, for whatever reason, he played the song Work, he wouldn't actually sing it, but would let the crowd know that he doesn't perform this song anymore and the crowd can sing it for him, obviously because this was the last time when he, in his own mind, was romantically linked to Rihanna.
Yeah, I don't sing this song anymore, you can sing it for me.
Now here's where A$AP Rocky fights back. Alright, so obviously as you guys know, Metro Boomin puts together those 2 projects with Future where a bunch of Drake's ops are featured on the projects. That's where Kendrick drops the verse, "F the big 3, it's just big me." That was on the first album, which caused, a massive stir within the industry. Everyone was waiting for Drake's response. But by the time the second album dropped, A$AP Rocky was a feature on it, and he rapped, "Call up Pluto Metro, they should have put me on the first one." Basically trying to say, like, I couldn't wait to get my get back on this guy. You guys were, dissing him on these albums. You should have put me on the first one. I shouldn't have had to wait till the second one.
Spicy.
Rocky continues rapping, "Guys swear their girl's the baddest, I just bagged a worse one." Obviously a callback to the fact that on Fear of Heights, Drake rapped, "The sex was average with you and I had way badder B's than you, TBH. Rocky is saying he bagged the worst B, the baddest B. Then he continues rapping saying, "Guys are in their feelings over women. What, you're hurt or something? I smashed before you birthed, son. Flacco hit it first, son." And this is where he drops the bombshell that essentially Rocky had actually slept with Drake's baby mama before Drake had ever conceived a child with her. Drake would flip these lines on his diss track Family Matters, where of course he aims not just at Kendrick but also at Rocky himself, Rick Ross, Future, Metro, etc. And Drake raps specifically at A$AP Rocky saying, "Rocky's talking crap again, mad cause you hit my BM first, my baby mama first, do the math who I was hitting then," implying that while A$AP Rocky was in a relationship with Drake's now baby mama, Drake at the time was sleeping with Rihanna. And I'm not gonna lie, honestly, of all the, extra heads aside from Kendrick, I think Drake went at Rocky, the hardest. With these set of bars, it's nothing crazy deep or intricate, but he was talking some facts over here. He said, "I didn't even know you rap still because they're only talking about your fit again," aka your outfit, because Rocky was more known at the time for fashion than he was for rapping. And then he says you probably have to have a kid again before you think of dropping any stuff again. Smoking Fenny talking about they should have put you on the first one, trying to get it in. Fenny is the name of Rihanna's billion-dollar company, and it's also short for fentanyl. Basically, Drake was saying, "Rocky, you must have been high thinking that you should have been on that first Metro Boomin album, Coming At Me." Then he references Rihanna directly, saying, "Ask Fring if it's a good idea the next time you cuddled in that bed again. She'll even tell you leave the boy alone before you get your head split again." Remember, Fring is Drake's old nickname to Rihanna based off Breaking Bad, and A$AP Rocky had got a cut on his head, and he was wearing a lot of scarves, I don't even know what they're called, babushkas I think, on his face to try and cover it up. So here Drake is, making a little double entendre saying, before you get your head split again, this time lyrically, ask Fring, aka ask Rihanna next time you cuddle up in that bed if she thinks it's a good idea. She'll even tell you you'll get your head popped. And I mean, remember earlier in this video in like 2010, Rihanna was saying that Drake was one of her favorite lyricists. Maybe she would have told Rocky it's not such a good idea going at him.
I study rap battles for a living.
Rocky would clap back with a track of his own in promotion of his upcoming album Don't Be Dumb. The track was called Hijack, and on that record he ends every line saying, "Like That." Again, Like That is the song that kicked off this whole Drake beef. He also makes specific references to Drake saying, "Slept with your girl because she's like that. These guys want my wife bad. The people want my next track." We wouldn't hear much from Rocky because, he ended up delaying the album by an extra 2 years, but finally when we got it, he put out another song on that record that was definitely taking aim at Drake, and Rocky even admits it. The song is called Stole Your Flow, and right off the rip, in the first few bars, Rocky's already taking shots. He raps, "You're just a sensitive guy, still in his feelings. You bit the image, my guy, I had to switch it." Remember that Drake, 3 years prior, stole A$AP Rocky's t-shirt idea for merch of his own, and Drake is obviously also a sensitive guy, so these lyrics apply. On the hook, Rocky raps, "First you stole my flow, so I stole your beat." This could be a shot at Drake, but it also could be a shot at Travis Scott, because Travis Scott had also been romantically linked to Rihanna in around 2015. And aside from that, who's the most known for biting Rocky's flow and his look? Obviously Travis Scott. Plus, in interviews, when Rocky was asked if this was a song aimed at Drake, he said yes, but it was also named at, anyone who thought it applied to them. Now, later in the verse, Rocky rapped, "People getting BBLs, lucky we don't body shame." Obviously Drake, known by the nickname BBL Drizzy, accused to have, little liposuction done on his abs to make them look like Tetris blocks. Definitely a shot at Drake, and we get more shots at Drake on this track when Rocky rapped, "First you was my bro, P-word guy switched, turned into an op, F his block, he a B-word. Might pull up to your crib, spin it like the rent, spend it like the time that you ain't spending with your kids." Now, of course, A$AP Rocky and Drake, like we saw earlier in this video, they at first were friends. They were bros. First you was my bro, then you switched, you turned into an op. And when he references, spend it like the time that you're not spending with your kids, that's in reference to the fact that basically everyone calls Drake a deadbeat father, right? He was hiding a child. What did Kendrick say on Euphoria? I got a son to raise, but you don't know nothing about that. Waking him up, know nothing about that. Funny enough, this was the one track that Rihanna had actually shared on her Instagram and her social medias to basically promote the album. She chose this song in particular. And ultimately, Rocky, in promotion of this album, would sit down with Akademiks to kind of review the album, even though I'm sure Akademiks did not even hear this album by the time he actually did this interview. But ultimately, he asks, you know, where things went wrong between Drake and Rocky. And Rocky says it was probably over Rihanna. Remember, they both traded shots in terms of Rocky was saying, I, slept with your baby mama, you might have slept with mine, whatever the case is. In this interview, Rocky says, he doesn't actually care if Drake had been romantically involved with Rihanna. That was before Rocky was in the picture. And if he was going to get mad at every guy that slept with Rihanna, then what would she say about him, right? It would make for an unhealthy relationship. He has a pretty good mentality going into this thing. He was saying it was Drake that was upset at Rihanna and Rocky's relationship.
It's completely normal ending.
Bro.
I think y'all beefing over women, honestly.
I think so too, but I don't know.
But it starts before Rick.
I don't know. Perhaps. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, niggas know how I give it up. Before my girl, nigga, I'll fuck your bitch. Like, that's what I was doing to niggas, respectfully. And maybe that might be it.
That's why.
We all, everybody do it to each other. What? That's player. Listen.
So if we're going to talk, so you supposedly were romantically involved with his baby mama, right? Before then, and yeah, I think that's natural. Where someone's like, obviously probably it wasn't no malicious shit, but yeah, it gets a little odd there, right? Like where, yeah, you my man's, but like you may hit my BM, like it get a little odd. So that's what I'm saying.
Nah, bro. Yo, listen. For a nigga like me, bro, I'm not the first nigga that fucked my girl or my baby mother or my wife. Somebody predates that. Get off that sucker shit. What we talking about right now? Females sound like some female shit. We sound like females talking about females. That's crazy.
So you didn't feel any way about his past with?
I don't care about nobody that predates me. Like, nobody. That was before me. What the fuck I'm gonna do? Go back in the hands of time and rewrite history? Niggas be too insecure and dwelling on stupid shit. What the fuck that got to do with me? That's crazy. If that's the case, it'll be like, I don't want her mad at the whole world. If she, like what we doing?
Then Rocky goes on to, I'm so happy he did this, clown Akademiks for just being absolutely disgustingly biased towards anything Drake related. And ultimately Rocky says he doesn't understand where this thing started because, like we mentioned before, back in 2020, Drake actually came to Yams Day and got A$AP Rocky an A$AP Yams chain. He considered Drake a friend initially.
Okay, but all right. So walk me down the timeline. Because I thought you were taking shots, like y'all both were taking like little subliminal shots.
Man, nah, gangster.
So he just mentions you. What song did he mention you on? Was it Push Ups or was it like the last one?
I don't know. He been talking about niggas, bro. He been talking about niggas throwing shots before the Kendrick shit and all that, bro. Talking about a nigga broad, talking about my girl, talking about he just.
Was there Heist before that?
I don't even know what that is, but I'm just saying, like, is that the shit he was talking crazy?
Yeah.
He was talking crazy. You feel what I'm saying? It's just like this.
So y'all
like,
must have had a little subliminal. Every time I've seen, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit. And
you probably are. Listen, I know how much you favoritize that nigga. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. You got to get off that bias shit too, gangster. You be too nah. You not fair. Like the only time you fair is when the Henny in your system and you behind your computer desk. That's the only time. Other than that, you not fair all the time. But you my mans though. I fucks with you. But look, like keep it gangster with you, bro. 2020, where Drewski hosted the whole that nigga got me a Yams chain and like, yo, bro, like, like you my brother, like I still got the chain, I still cherish it. That's my, he remember Yams, you know what I mean? Like he came to Yams Day, he was there. You feel me? Like that's 2020, gangster. Like me and Shorty was locked in. That's where everything is subsequent after that. That's where all the shots start happening. That's when I started seeing niggas saying funny shit. And
you never did nothing.
What, like shot at him?
Yeah.
Never.
Because sometimes as rappers it might be like, oh, you trying to act like, oh, he got a one up on me.
Like
I'm fishing at this point because I don't know anything. So that's
I would have
see if there's
I would have to be a sucker nigga to think like that. I don't move like that, bro. You can't see by that ain't my style, gangsta. I know it's kind of hard to tell now, but like, why I gotta do that for?
Okay, and this don't sound like I'm definitely like being biased, but you know his style is always kind of like hating on the next nigga. Like it is kind of style.
If it is,
the music is like, yo, that's a nigga you chose. Like, yo, what's up?
Nah,
that's kind of been part of the, but it's music.
I respect that music, nigga. I'm in real life, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'ma fuck your bitch. Keep playing with me. Like, that's how I give it up. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Now, where things get wrong, according to Rocky, is the fact that, of course, Drake starts taking shots. We reviewed all the shots, right? It was most definitely Drake that started putting Rocky and Rihanna in his music, and not in a favorable way. And it was only after that that Rocky decided to join in with Kendrick, Future, Metro, etc. to actually take a shot back at Drake. Plus, Rocky emphasizes, like, it wasn't just that, you know, this was a coordinated attack for Metro to assemble all these different guys to diss and destroy Drake, some coordinated attack by the industry. A$AP Rocky has been on every Metro project, so this was not different than any other one, except this time he just had something to say back because Drake, of course, was sending these shots first at Rocky and Rihanna.
So those shots kind of happen. You're kind of ignoring all that shit, and then the battle starts. And then
the only reason I said something was because I felt like he took a shot at my girl.
But why'd you pick that though?
Because, hear me out. He just said he was just on tour and said something about my girl. That was like 2 weeks prior to me saying what I said. That's 2 weeks. And
he said something or he performed the song.
He was like, I don't want to perform this song on some girly shit. Like,
okay.
Stop acting oblivious. You acting dumb now, gang. You know what's up. You know what's up, gangster.
Just jog my memory. What I'm saying is there's so much things. I'm stuck on the song where it's disrespectful, clearly.
I'm not just talking about songs. It's things, it's songs, it's shots. Nigga, shots ain't just...
Not even the timeline. Yeah, he's on...
He said that. I said what I said. I realized this battle was between two niggas spawn. Like, that's them. Like, he said what he said, and I ain't got nothing to say until I put out my project.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say what I said. That's it.
But you... Some people feel like they recruited you for the... Like, you were on the We Still Don't Trust You.
Yeah.
So, was the goal of that to, let's get this nigga? Because people thought it was like a jump.
Nah, they could...
Nigga, man, I'm tired of this nigga.
Nah, they could think what they want. Listen, I fuck with Tro. I fuck with Metro. Like, at the end of the day, listen, look out for the next joint. This too. Listen, Tro been working on me on this album, Don't Be Dumb. He been working me for years, bro, on this shit. He put out 2 albums before that one. I was on each of them. You feel me? So, nah, bro, that was just, I was on that.
Now, Rocky then goes on to say that he actually does regret one thing, which is that he brought Drake's baby mama, Sophie Brousseau, into this beef, right? Because, again, remember the disses where A$AP Rocky was talking about how, yeah, you're happy you smashed Rihanna, but do the math who I was hitting then, and then Drake flipped the whole thing as well. Rocky thinks she didn't deserve to be dragged into this mess.
I said what I said, and I shouldn't have, because it was petty, and I was being messy by putting another woman, saying something about another woman. That's corny.
You told the feature on
what I did, like, you feel me? Like, I thought about it, like, I probably could have left that out, you know what I'm saying? But I just needed niggas to know, like, when...
Have you guys never had that conversation?
Of course.
So you guys have talked as men?
Yes.
So how does it make it to raps?
What you mean how it make it to raps? I just told you the nigga was talking about my broad, nigga.
So, but don't you hit him on text or whatever, like, yo, bro, what's up with this?
Talk to that nigga who got my number?
Huh.
The fuck I'm talking to that weird nigga for?
But you guys are friends.
You just asked me the same question. Like I told you, I thought we was friends too. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's over females. That's all jokes aside. I thought we was friends too. Last I checked. Next thing I know, niggas is throwing shots from like 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Niggas is throwing shots. Be happy for a nigga, man. Chill out. Like, niggas ain't trying to rub shit in your face. I'm really digging this. This is for real. This ain't about you, nigga. Life don't revolve, you know what I'm saying? Revolve around you.
You know, not that I want you to speak for her, but like, is she like kind of also like,
it's like you with your girl and the ex nigga just keep like, yo, bro, you're written out of the picture, man. Like, move on.
I'm gonna be real. I think that's everybody's stance on it, yo. Everybody like, yo, this shit corny. What we talking about? Yo, your man got some weird tactical ways of trying to control narratives and spin shit. And if you a nigga that could see it, like, for what it is.
I try to see. Well, that's what I'm asking you, because like fans, we're looking at everything as good music, right? So like, if he's like being deliberate and he's doing some stuff, like maybe when you break it down, like we always admitted like Marvin's Room is like basically telling the chick like, yo, you could do better. Like that's not the thing that most men would do, but musically sounds fire, right?
Marvin's Room, that's one of the
that's an old one.
Yeah.
But like, so his tactics versus how it comes across in music is like, you know, I'm gonna look from a fan perspective. So that's why
it's just like,
you as from the man perspective, because you're in it.
I think from a man perspective, if I'm being 100, that nigga move like a female. Like, that's it. That's just my opinion. I take it or leave it. It's my 2 cents. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's crazy how, like, the nigga threw the nigga J. Cole under the bus. And why nigga, yo, you don't fuck with Cole? I fuck with that nigga. Stop playing. That nigga fire, bro.
Listen,
that nigga Cole fire, man.
You could not drop a diss song and then delete it and apologize before the lyrics. Wow.
Yo.
That's just wild. Yo, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that, it's just that I don't know where you go from that. Yo, it's like popping it and then niggas challenge you a fight and you run away, and then the next week you're on the block talking even hotter shit. You like, yo, bro, pack it up. Like, yo.
Yo, but so I can ask you something?
Yeah. And as you could see here, A$AP Rocky says some real stuff, right? Like in terms of the way that Drake drags different people's significant others into his beefs, drags women into his diss songs. He doesn't move in the way a man should move, with honor and dignity. And of course, these comments would not make Drake change his ways, because a couple months later, when it was La Brianna's turn to respond to the world and all the ops that were taking shots at him, he had plenty to say about A$AP Rocky and Rihanna on his most recent Iceman album. Well, he actually kept his words quite short, but they stung nonetheless. On the song Firm Friends, where Drake professes that he's not suing the rapper, but instead he's suing the label, he also had some bars for Rocky when he rapped, "Y'all are talking about inflating the numbers on the DSPs and me having better perspective on life doing DMT. KYS ASAP, that's some stuff you could do for me. Like it was my first Chanel, I could have posted receipts that would have made guys read them and weep." The main bar here aimed at Rocky is KYS ASAP, which stands for kill yourself ASAP, as soon as possible. But of course we know Rocky is ASAP. But the most popular shots that Drake had for Rocky and Rihanna did not come on this song, but instead on an earlier track of the track list called Burning Bridges. Now I gotta say, like, you could tell me that Drake has regressed with the lyricism, and I could agree with you there, but in terms of his production team, they have only elevated things, and the beat on Burning Bridges, that second beat, that is a beautiful beat. DJ Akademiks will beat his meat to that beat. On the first part of that track, Drake cries about his love for Rihanna once again. Remember just a couple years ago on the song Fear of Heights, Drake started that track off talking about how he can never be hung up on Rihanna because the sex with her was average and that her new man is stuck with her and can't leave. On this track, he sings that he can cry when he sees her face. He's just too in love to let her walk away. He says, "I know it's your dream to start a family in LA, but they love me too much here, I can't relocate." Now we know that A$AP Rocky and Rihanna have a family together now in California. And we could speculate that this verse was not about Rihanna. Maybe he's talking about another girl that when he sees her face, he can cry, and they only didn't work out because she wanted to start a family in LA and he needed to stay back in Toronto. But once we get to the next verse on this song, it's pretty evident, given the shots aimed at A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, that that first verse must have been about Rihanna. Again, it's all just my theories here. On the chorus, he raps the famous bars, "I put you guys through the ringer, you're getting bodied by a singing guy. I'm with Noel like I'm Kris Kringle, your baby mama ain't even post a single. Damn, where's she at?" People thought that these bars could have been aimed at Kendrick Lamar, since of course Drake took a lot of shots at Kendrick's baby mama Whitney on his diss tracks. But then Whitney ended up showing up in the Not Like Us music video, so it likely wasn't aimed at her and Kendrick. And given the context of the first verse of the song and the second verse of the song, which we'll review shortly, this was likely aimed at A$AP Rocky. However, these bars don't hit because she actually did post the single. If he said, your baby mama ain't even post your album, that would have been true. The first time Rihanna actually posted about the album was a week after its release, when the first week sales numbers had came out, and she was celebrating that he got the #1 album. Shortly in this video, you'll see why she actually didn't post his album when it first released. However, throughout the week of its release, Rihanna did actually post the single. Ironically, this single off the album where A$AP Rocky was dissing Drake that we reviewed prior. Right when the album came out, Rihanna commented, "I mean," with a bunch of exclamation points, under a post of A$AP Rocky's single, Stole Your Flow. So, your baby mama ain't even post your single doesn't really hold much weight, considering not only did Rihanna actually share the single where Rocky was dissing Drake, but when Drake himself released his own album, Iceman, his own baby mama, who both him and A$AP Rocky claims that Rocky slept with, actually did not post Drake's album or single at all. Instead, the next month, she got married to another man, which is kind of irrelevant. It's just the weight of these bars does not really hold up when you break all this down. But if you wanted further proof that these bars were about Rihanna and A$AP Rocky to begin with, on the next verse of the track, Drake raps, "You should be swimming with the effing fishes, but I still got love for your missus and her sister, so I told Capo, we can't burn them bridges. You saw my brother, you were trying to fix it, now you drop your album and you're back dissing." Back when Drake had a relationship or a friendship with Rihanna, he was also close to her half-sister, Samantha. And here Drake is saying the only reason why he's not burning this whole thing to the ground is because he still has love for your missus, aka Rihanna, and her sister, aka Samantha. We know this is also likely about Rocky because, remember again, Rocky didn't really have a problem with Drake. It was Drake that publicly started taking shots at both him and Rihanna, and then Rocky reciprocated that with shots of his own. In these next set of bars, Drake is talking about how when you saw my brother, you were trying to fix it, but then you drop your album and you're back dissing. And we know that on Rocky's recent album, he was dissing Drake. But again, with all that, no matter how nice this beat is, no matter how catchy the "your baby mama ain't even post a single where she at" chorus could be, it holds no weight in the context of this being about A$AP and Rihanna. It just makes Drake look more petty and obsessed than he did before, which is a tough act to beat. But speaking of beat, A$AP Rocky did an interview recently where he said he wants to beat the brakes off of La Brianna bare knuckles. He also doubles down on his point that there should be no point in Drake still dwelling on the fact that he did not end up with Rihanna, because at this point, her and A$AP Rocky are half a decade later, 3 kids later, going hot and heavy.
Is he mad because you took his girl?
I didn't take his girl.
You took everybody's girl. Everybody who wanted Rihanna, my gay ass, I'm gonna just confess right here. There's only one woman in this world that I'm like, wait, you took every man who had a crush on this one, you took her.
That's not true. You know why? She was dating that Saudi prince dude or
and
whatever.
All that money couldn't hold her because here come A$AP.
That's a Harlem, man. Don't nothing compare to that. She wasn't even like fucking with this, so I don't even.
You took that girl.
I did not take his girl. Why you keep saying that?
And you know what's funny? I know you don't do it in public, but I know you grin sometimes like, yeah, y'all could put it in the songs. You could put it on Twitter. You can put it wherever you want.
Exactly.
But my bitch is at home.
He also clears up why Rihanna only posted the single at first and not his actual album, and he says it's because if she did post his album on the first week it released, then when it went #1, everyone would have been like, oh, it's only because Rihanna posted your album, clarifying why your baby mama ain't even post your album.
Wait. We have to settle.
Wait, let me say this.
Okay.
This is the problem, though. If she would have posted my album, everybody would have been like, you only went #1 because your girl posted, She not on my album. Like, you know what I'm saying? What single she supposed to be posting? She posted my album after it went #1.
Wait, but can I just do something real quick? Hold on. Give it up for a #1 album. And he dropped Iceman and he said, your girl didn't post your album.
That's stupid.
But then you still went to #1.
Right. She posted my album.
In your song, you said, first you stole my flow. Wait.
So I stole your. That's fire.
First I stole your flow, then I stole your B. No matter where Drake will be in life, he will not be with Rihanna. And after this damn near 20-year obsession with someone he once fantasized about having a family with, he's now stuck taking shots at the one man who was able to live out his fantasy. So even if he's got the W when it comes to dissing Rocky on records, he lost the one thing he wanted the most. But it couldn't have been as bad as the loss he took to Kendrick Lamar. So if you want to see how Kendrick got Drake completely spiraling on his Iceman album, check out the video I did on that in the link in the description of this video, and let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I study rap
Aholics
for a living.